Park Ji-hoon was tired. He had been alone in his small cargo ship for 6 months. 6 months of talking to himself. 6 months of eating the same food. 6 months of silence. Now, finally, he had arrived at Station Omega. The station was huge. It floated in deep space, like a metal city. Ships came and went from every direction. Aliens of all kinds walked through its long hallways. Ji-hoon had seen many strange beings in his 5 years as a cargo pilot, but Station Omega always surprised him. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Only 50 years ago, they had made first contact with alien life. Now, humans traveled among the stars, but most aliens still thought they were strange. Humans showed too many feelings. They laughed too loud. They cried in public. They said things without thinking first. To most aliens, this was very uncomfortable. Ji-hoon did not care what aliens thought of him. He was just happy to be around other people again. He walked through the crowded station toward the customs checkpoint. Every visitor had to pass through customs before entering the main areas. The line was long and slow. Ji-hoon waited behind a group of tall, gray-skinned traders and tried to be patient. That was when he saw her. She stood near the front of another line. She was tall, maybe 2 meters, with skin that shone like blue water under moonlight. Her eyes were silver, bright and deep like 2 small moons. Her hair was the strangest part. It flowed down her back like a living thing, and it glowed. Soft lights moved through it, changing from blue to purple to white. She was Valari. Ji-hoon knew about them. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. The Valari were one of the oldest and most powerful species. They were known for being cold and logical. They never showed feelings. They never raised their voices. They believed emotions were dangerous and had to be controlled at all times. Ji-hoon watched her for a moment. She was trying to use a small translation device, but something was wrong with it. She pressed buttons again and again, but nothing happened. Her face stayed calm, but Ji-hoon could see small signs of frustration. Her glowing hair flickered slightly. Her fingers moved faster. Without thinking, Ji-hoon left his line and walked over to her. "Hey," he said. "Need some help?" The Valari woman looked at him. Her silver eyes studied his face. Ji-hoon felt like she was looking right through him, reading every thought in his head. "You are human," she said. Her voice was smooth and soft like music. "Yes," Ji-hoon said with a smile. Park Ji-hoon, cargo pilot. Expert at fixing broken devices. She looked at him for a long moment. Ji-hoon wondered if he had made a mistake. Maybe Valari did not like humans. Maybe she would tell him to go away. "I am Yuna," she said finally. "Diplomatic representative of the Valari High Council." Ji-hoon's eyes went wide. A diplomat. A high-ranking one. He had just walked up to an important person like she was a regular traveler. Oh, he said, "Should I bow or something?" Something flickered in Yuna's eyes. Was that surprise? Amusement? Ji-hoon could not tell. "That is not necessary," she said. "You offered assistance." "I will accept it." She handed him the translation device. Ji-hoon looked at it carefully. It was Valari technology, much more advanced than human devices. But the basic idea was the same. He opened a small panel on the side and found the problem quickly. "The power connection is loose," he said. He pressed it back into place and closed the panel. The device lit up with a soft glow. "There, should work now." Yuna took the device and tested it. Words appeared on the screen in perfect Valari script. "It functions correctly," she said. "You have my thanks." "No problem," Ji-hoon said. He should have walked away then. He should have gone back to his line and minded his own business. But he was tired. He had been alone for too long. And something about this Valari woman made him want to keep talking. So, he said, "First time on Station Omega." "No," Yuna said. "I have visited many times for diplomatic purposes." Right, Ji-hoon said. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Diplomatic stuff. Important work." "Yes." They stood in awkward silence. Other aliens walked past them, going about their business. Ji-hoon knew he should leave. But his mouth had other ideas. "Listen," he said, "I just finished a really long trip. I have been alone for 6 months. Would you maybe want to get something to eat or drink?" The station has some good places. Yuna's hair flickered with faint light. That would be inappropriate. We've only just met. I know, Ji-hoon said. But sometimes it is nice to talk to someone new. Even a strange human like me. Yuna studied him again with those silver eyes. Ji-hoon felt nervous under her gaze. But he did not look away. Very well, she said. I have time before my next meeting. You may accompany me. Ji-hoon grinned. Great. They walked together through the station. Yuna moved with perfect grace, her long legs carrying her smoothly through the crowds. Ji-hoon had to walk fast to keep up. He asked her questions about her work, about Valari culture, about the places she had visited. She answered with short, careful words. But she did not tell him to stop asking. They found a small eating area with a view of the stars. Through the large windows, Ji-hoon could see ships moving through the darkness. It was beautiful. They sat across from each other at a small table. Yuna ordered something Ji-hoon could not pronounce. He ordered coffee. Real coffee. He had missed it so much as they waited for their orders. Ji-hoon looked at Yuna. The lights of the station made her blue skin glow softly. Her silver eyes reflected the stars outside. Her glowing hair moved gently, like it was breathing. Ji-hoon was tired. He had been alone too long. He had forgotten how to filter his thoughts. And so, without thinking at all, he opened his mouth and said the words that would change everything. You know, he said, you are honestly the most attractive person I have ever seen. Yuna froze. Not like she paused. Not like she went quiet. She froze completely. Her whole body went still. Her eyes went wide. Her glowing hair suddenly flared bright white, so bright that nearby aliens turned to look. Ji-hoon blinked. Are you okay? She did not answer. She did not move. She just stared at him with those wide silver eyes, her hair blazing like a white star. Around them, their Valari in the eating area had stopped what they were doing. They stared at Yuna. They stared at Ji-hoon. Their faces showed the first real emotion Ji-hoon had ever seen on Valari. Shock. Complete and total shock. Ji-hoon looked around at all the frozen aliens. He looked back at Yuna. He had no idea what was happening. Did I say something wrong? He asked. He had no idea what he had just done. Ji-hoon did not understand what was happening. One moment, he was having a nice conversation with a beautiful alien woman. The next moment, everyone in the eating area was staring at him like he had grown a second head. Yuna still had not moved. Her hair was still glowing bright white. Her silver eyes were still wide open. She looked like a statue made of blue crystal and white light. Yuna, Ji-hoon said carefully. Are you okay? Should I call a doctor? A large Valari male in a security uniform pushed through the crowd. He was bigger than Yuna, with darker blue skin and hard silver eyes. He stopped in front of their table and looked down at Ji-hoon with clear anger on his face. This was strange. Ji-hoon had heard that Valari never showed emotions. Human, the security officer said. His voice was cold like ice. What did you say to the representative? Ji-hoon held up his hands. I did not mean to cause any trouble. I just said she was attractive. That is not an insult, right? The security officer's eyes went wide. Other Valari nearby made small sounds of shock. Even aliens of other species had stopped to watch what was happening. You said those words, the officer asked. You spoke them directly to her? Yes. Ji-hoon was very confused now. Is that bad? I was just being honest. She is very beautiful. I thought it would be nice to tell her. The security officer turned to look at Yuna. She had finally started to move again. Her hair was slowly changing from white to a soft pink color. Her hands were shaking slightly. Representative Yuna, the officer said. Do you wish me to remove this human? Yuna took a deep breath. When she spoke, her voice was not as smooth as before. It shook a little. No, I will handle this matter myself. The security officer did not look happy, but he stepped back. He kept watching Ji-hoon like he was a dangerous animal. Yuna stood up from the table. Human, come with me. She did not wait for an answer. She walked quickly toward a quiet hallway away from the eating area. Ji-hoon jumped up and followed her. He could feel the eyes of every alien on his back as he walked. They entered a small private room. The door closed behind them. Yuna turned to face him. Her hair was still pink, still glowing. Do you understand what you have done? She asked. Ji-hun shook his head. I really do not. I am sorry if I offended you. I did not mean to. Where I come from, telling someone they are attractive is a compliment. A good thing. Yuna was quiet for a moment. She seemed to be trying to find the right words. Humans express emotions freely, she said. You say what you feel without thinking. To most aliens, this is strange. To the Valari, it is something much more powerful. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Ji-hun watched her and waited. Long ago, she continued, the Valari faced a great enemy. Creatures that could read minds. They hunted us by sensing our feelings. Fear, love, joy, anger. Any strong emotion was like a signal fire that drew them to us. Ji-hun felt a chill run down his back. That sounds terrible. We almost went extinct. The only way to survive was to learn to hide our emotions, to bury them deep inside, to never let them show. Yuna touched the glass with her fingers. Over thousands of years, this became our culture, our way of life. Emotions are private. Emotions are dangerous. To show them openly is shameful. Ji-hun started to understand. So when I said you were attractive, you declared your feelings for me. Openly, directly, without shame or fear. Yuna turned to face him. Her silver eyes were very intense. In Valari culture, such a declaration is not a simple compliment. It is the highest form of intimacy. It is what mates say to each other only in the most private moments, after years of trust. Wait, are you saying you proposed to me? Yuna said. In public, in front of many witnesses, Ji-hun felt like the floor had disappeared under his feet. I proposed to you? By saying you were attractive? How does that work? Words have power, Yuna said. Among my people, to speak your feelings directly is the greatest gift you can give someone. It means you trust them completely. It means you are willing to be vulnerable. It means you are offering yourself to them. Ji-hun sat down on a nearby chair. His legs felt weak. I had no idea. I am so sorry. Can I take it back? Can I apologize and make it go away? Yuna's hair flickered. No. Among the Valari, to take back such words is an even greater insult. It means your original words were lies. It means you are a deceiver. Lying about emotions is the worst crime in our culture. Ji-hun put his face in his hands. So I cannot take it back. But I also made a huge mistake by saying it. What am I supposed to do? Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she walked closer to him. Her hair had changed color again, now a soft mix of blue and purple. I have a question, she said. When you spoke those words, did you mean them? Or were you just making conversation? Ji-hun looked up at her. Her silver eyes were searching his face. He thought about lying. He thought about saying it was just a silly human thing, not important, not real. But he could not do it. Lying felt wrong. I meant it, he said quietly. I was tired and not thinking clearly. But yes. I looked at you and I thought you were the most beautiful person I had ever seen. And I said it because it was true. Yuna's hair flared bright again. Her eyes went wide. But this time, she did not freeze completely. Instead, she took a slow, shaky breath. You humans, she said. You speak your feelings so easily, like they are nothing special. Like truth is simple, is it not? Ji-hun asked. Yuna let out a sound that might have been a laugh. It was small and soft, but it was there. No. For my people, truth is the hardest thing in the universe. We spend our whole lives hiding from it. She sat down in a chair across from him. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. A human cargo pilot and a Valari diplomat. Two people from completely different worlds. You've caused a scandal, Yuna said. The other Valari on this station will report what happened. My family will hear about it. My grandmother will be very angry. I am sorry, Ji-hun said again. Stop apologizing. Yuna's voice was firm but not unkind. What is done is done. We must now decide what to do next. What are our options? Option 1. You leave the station immediately. We never see each other again. The scandal will fade over time. My reputation will be damaged, but not destroyed. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. And option 2? Yuna's hair glowed a little brighter. Option 2 is more complicated and more interesting. She leaned forward slightly. Her silver eyes locked onto his. You are the first person who has ever spoken to me that way, she said. The first person who ever looked at me and said what they truly felt, without fear, without calculation. I have lived my whole life among people who hide everything. And you, a stranger, gave me the truth in a single sentence. Ji-hoon's heart was beating fast. What are you saying? I am saying that perhaps this mistake was not entirely a mistake. Yuna's voice was softer now. I am saying that I would like to understand you better. This strange human who speaks his heart so freely? Ji-hoon stared at her. You want to spend more time with me? Even after all this trouble? Yes, Yuna stood up. Her hair was glowing a warm gold color now. I have diplomatic duties for the next 3 days on this station. You will accompany me. We will talk. I will study human emotional expression for research purposes. Hyun could see the small smile at the corner of her lips. Research purposes, right? Okay, he said. I can do that. Yuna nodded. Good. But first, you should know something. What? She looked at him with those silver moon eyes. When you spoke those words to me and I froze, that was not just surprise. In that moment, I felt something I have never felt before. Something I was taught to hide my whole life. Ji-hoon stood up slowly. What was it? Yuna's hair glowed bright white again, but this time she did not freeze. She stood tall and proud. Excitement, she said. Pure, uncontrolled excitement. No one has ever made me feel that way. She walked past him toward the door. Come, human. We have much to discuss. Ji-hoon followed her, his heart pounding in his chest. He had come to Station Omega looking for a simple break from his lonely travels. Instead, he had found something much more complicated and much more wonderful. The next 3 days were the strangest of Ji-hoon's life. He followed Yuna through the station like a shadow. He sat outside meeting rooms while she conducted diplomatic business. He ate strange alien food at fancy restaurants. And every time they had a moment alone, they talked. Yuna asked him hundreds of questions about humans. She wanted to know everything about how they felt and why they showed those feelings so openly. Ji-hoon tried his best to explain. When I am happy, I smile, he said during one of their talks. When I am sad, I cry. It just happens. I do not think about it. Yuna's hair glowed with soft blue light as she listened. And you are not ashamed of this? Why would I be ashamed? Everyone has feelings. It is part of being alive. Yuna shook her head slowly. On my world, children are taught from birth to control their emotions. We practice for hours every day. By the time we are adults, our faces show nothing. Our voices reveal nothing. We are like still water on a windless day. Ji-hoon thought about this. That sounds very lonely. Yuna was quiet for a moment. Her hair flickered with hints of purple. Yes, she said finally. It is Ji-hoon's friend found him on the second day. Han Do-won was a human engineer who had worked on Station Omega for 3 years. He was short and round, with a friendly face and quick eyes. He grabbed Ji-hoon's arm and pulled him into a quiet corner. What did you do? Do-han demanded. Everyone is talking about you. The human who proposed to a Vellery noble in a customs line. Have you lost your mind? Ji-hoon rubbed his face with his hands. It was an accident. I did not know their customs. I just said she was attractive. Do-han stared at him. Just said she was attractive. To a Vellery. Do you even understand what that means? I do now. Do-han let out a long breath. Okay, we can fix this. You need to apologize publicly. Make it clear it was a cultural misunderstanding. Ji-hoon shook his head. I cannot do that. In Vellery culture, taking back those words would be even worse. It would mean I was lying, but you were not lying. Ji-hoon thought about Yuna's silver eyes, her glowing hair, the small smile she had started to show him when no one else was watching. "No," he said quietly. "I was not lying." Doan looked at his friend for a long moment. Then his eyes went wide. "Oh no. You actually like her? You really like her?" "Maybe," Ji-hoon admitted. "She is unlike anyone I have ever met." Doan sat down heavily on a nearby bench. "This is bad. This is very bad. Do you know who her family is?" "The Valari High Council is one of the most powerful groups in the galaxy. Her grandmother is Elder Counselor Sarah. She has helped rule the Valari for over 200 years. Ji-hoon felt his stomach drop. 200 years? "Valari live a long time," Doan said. "And they have long memories. You've just created a scandal that will be remembered for decades." That evening, Yuna received a message from home. Ji-hoon watched her face as she read it. Her expression did not change, but her hair turned dark red. He had learned that red meant strong negative emotions: anger, fear, pain. "My grandmother has heard the news," Yuna said. "She demands to speak with me." A hologram appeared in Yuna's private quarters. An older Valari woman looked out at them. She had the same blue skin and silver eyes as Yuna, but her face was harder, colder. Her hair was pure white and did not glow at all. "Granddaughter," Elder Counselor Sarah said, "explain this situation." Yuna stood very straight. "There was a cultural misunderstanding. A human spoke words to me without understanding their meaning in our culture." Sarah's cold eyes moved to look at Ji-hoon. He felt like an insect being studied by a scientist. "This is the human." "Yes, Elder." "He is small, weak, insignificant." Sarah turned back to Yuna. "You will reject him publicly. You will declare that his words were meaningless noise from an ignorant creature. Our family honor must be protected." Yuna's hair flickered with colors: blue, purple, red, white. Ji-hoon had never seen it change so quickly. "Understand, Elder," Yuna said, but she did not say she would do it. Sarah noticed this. Her eyes narrowed. "You hesitate. Why?" Yuna was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was different, softer, more real. "This human is not like anyone I have met before. He speaks his feelings freely. He looks at me and says what he truly thinks. No calculation. No hidden meanings. Just truth." Sarah's face showed no emotion, but her voice became sharper. "Truth, you sound like a child. Emotions are weakness. They must be controlled." "Why?" Yuna asked. The word hung in the air like thunder. Sarah was silent. No one had ever asked her that question. "The creatures that hunted us are gone," Yuna continued. "They have been gone for thousands of years, but we still hide. We still bury our feelings like they are poison. We have become cold and empty and alone." Her hair was glowing bright now, almost too bright to look at. "This human reminded me that there's another way to live." Sarah's hologram flickered with what might have been anger. "You would throw away your heritage for a human?" "I would throw away loneliness for connection," Yuna said. "I would throw away silence for truth. Is that so wrong?" Sarah stared at her granddaughter. Then she turned to look at Ji-hoon again. "Human," she said, "do you understand what you have started?" Ji-hoon stepped forward. He was scared, but he did not hide it. "I understand that I accidentally did something very serious in your culture. I understand that Yuna's reputation is in danger. But I also understand something else." "What is that?" "Your granddaughter's amazing. She is smart and beautiful and strong. But she is also lonely. I can see it in her eyes. She has spent her whole life pretending to feel nothing, and it has hurt her." Ji-hoon took a deep breath. "I do not know if I can help her. I am just a cargo pilot. But I want to try." Sarah was quiet for a very long time. The hologram flickered and buzzed. Finally, she spoke. "We're either very brave or very foolish, human. Maybe both." Ji-hoon admitted. Something strange happened then. For just 1 second, Sarah's face changed. The hardness softened. Her eyes became less cold. It was so brief that Ji-hoon almost missed it. "I will be watching," Sarah said. If you hurt my granddaughter, there will be consequences. The hologram disappeared. Yuna let out a long breath. Her whole body seemed to relax. Her hair faded to a soft, peaceful blue. That went better than I expected, she said. Ji-hun laughed nervously. That was better? I thought she was going to have me thrown into space. Yuna turned to look at him. There was something new in her silver eyes. Something warm. You stood up to her, Yuna said. You spoke honestly to one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. You did not hide your feelings. Was that the right thing to do? Yuna stepped closer to him. Close enough that he could feel the warmth of her glowing hair. It was exactly the right thing to do, she said. You showed her what I have been trying to explain. You showed her what humans are. What are we? Yuna smiled. It was a real smile, wide and bright. Ji-hun realized he had never seen her smile like that before. It was beautiful. Honest, she said. Completely, wonderfully honest. And I think I am starting to understand why that matters. She took his hand in hers. Her skin was warm and smooth. Her hair glowed golden with happiness. Teach me, she said. Teach me how to feel like a human. Ji-hun held her hand and looked into her silver eyes. I will try, he said. But I want you to teach me too. Teach me about your world, your people, your life. It is a fair exchange, Yuna said. They stood together by the window, looking out at the stars. Two people from different worlds, trying to understand each other. Somewhere in the galaxy, change was beginning. On the fourth day, trouble arrived at Station Omega. His name was Commander Velric. He was a tall Valari male with dark blue skin and eyes like chips of ice. He wore a military uniform covered with medals and symbols of rank. He walked through the station like he owned it, and everyone moved out of his way. Ji-hun first saw him in the trading hall. Yuna had gone stiff beside him, her hair turning a pale, sickly color he had not seen before. Who is that? Ji-hun asked. Commander Velric, Yuna said quietly. He is from one of the oldest military families on my world. For many years, his family and mine have discussed a political marriage. Ji-hun felt his stomach turn cold. A political marriage? You mean he wishes to marry me? Yes. It would bring our families together and increase both our powers. Yuna's voice was flat and empty. I never wanted it. But I never had a reason to refuse. Velric saw them. His cold eyes locked onto Ji-hun like weapons targeting an enemy. He walked toward them with long, purposeful steps, Representative Yuna Velric said. His voice was smooth but dangerous. I came as soon as I heard the news. A human has insulted you with improper words. I am here to defend your honor. Yuna stepped forward slightly, putting herself between Velric and Ji-hun. There was no insult, Commander. There was a cultural misunderstanding. The matter is being handled. Velric looked at Ji-hun with open disgust. You are spending time with this creature. Eating with him, talking with him. The whole station is whispering about it. This is not handling the matter. This is making it worse. Ji-hun opened his mouth to speak, but Yuna put a hand on his arm. A silent message. Let me handle this. What I do with my time is my own business, Commander, Yuna said. Her voice was ice cold. Velric smiled. It was not a nice smile, perhaps. But the honor of our families is everyone's business. I demand the right to issue a formal challenge. Yuna's hair flickered with red. A challenge? That tradition is ancient. No one has used it in centuries. It is still our law, Velric said. When a person's honor is questioned, they may challenge the offender to a contest of worth. If the human refuses, it proves his words were empty. If he accepts and loses, he must publicly take back what he said. And if I win? Velric laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound. You will not win, human. But if by some miracle you did, I would leave this station and never bother Representative Yuna again. Yuna grabbed Ji-hun's arm. Do not accept. This is a trap. Velric has trained his whole life for combat and strategy. You cannot beat him. Ji-hun looked at her. Then he looked at Velric. The Valari commander was bigger, stronger, and smarter. He had every advantage. But Ji-hun thought about what would happen if he refused. Everyone would think his words to Yuna meant nothing. She would be embarrassed. Velric would win without even trying. Except, Ji-hoon said. Velric's cold smile grew wider. Excellent. The challenge will have 3 parts. First, intellectual debate. Second, strategic combat simulation. Third, a trial of emotional endurance. We begin tomorrow. He turned and walked away. Other Valari on the station watched him go with respect and fear. Yuna turned to Ji-hoon with worry in her silver eyes. Why did you accept? You cannot win this. Maybe not, Ji-hoon said, but I had to try. Running away would prove nothing. Doan found them an hour later. He had heard the news. Are you crazy? He demanded. A formal challenge against a Valari commander. He will destroy you. I know, Ji-hoon said, but I could not say no. Doan stared at him for a long moment. Then he sighed. Fine. If you are going to do this, you are not doing it alone. I will help you prepare. Other humans on the station heard what was happening. One by one, they came to offer their support. Engineers, pilots, traders, scientists. They brought information about Valari customs. They shared what they knew about debate and strategy. They practiced with Ji-hoon late into the night. The first round came too quickly. Intellectual debate. The topic was galactic trade policy. Velric spoke with perfect logic and endless facts. His arguments were like walls of stone. Ji-hoon did his best, but he was out of his depth. The Valari judges declared Velric the winner. The second round was worse. Strategic combat simulation. They played a complex war game with holographic ships and armies. Velric moved his pieces like a master. Ji-hoon made mistake after mistake. His fleet was destroyed in less than an hour. Another victory for Velric. That evening, the humans on Station Omega gathered around Ji-hoon. Their faces were sad. They had hoped for a miracle, but none had come. I am sorry, Ji-hoon said. I let everyone down. There is still 1 round left, Doan said. The trial of emotional endurance. What does that even mean? Yuna was there too. She sat beside Ji-hoon, her hair glowing a worried purple. Both contestants are placed in a chamber that tests psychological stress. You are shown images, sounds, and experiences designed to break your control. The one who shows emotion first loses. Ji-hoon laughed sadly. Then I have already lost. I cannot hide my emotions. I never could. Maybe Yuna said slowly. But maybe that is not the point. The final round took place in a large arena. Hundreds of aliens had come to watch. Velric stood on one platform, his face like carved stone. Ji-hoon stood on another, his heart pounding with fear. The trial began. Machines sent images directly into their minds. Ji-hoon saw his childhood home on Earth. He saw his parents, whom he had not visited in years. He felt the loneliness of his long trips through space. Tears formed in his eyes. He saw Velric across the arena. The commander's face showed nothing. Perfect control. Perfect discipline, the trial continued. Ji-hoon was shown his greatest fears. He was shown memories of failure and shame. He felt sadness and grief and terror, and he did not hide any of it. He cried when he saw images of Earth. He laughed nervously when the simulation made a strange glitching sound. He shook with fear when faced with his deepest anxieties. Every emotion passed across his face like clouds across the sky. Velric remained stone cold. Not a flicker. Not a tremor. He was winning, but something strange was happening in the audience. The Valari were watching Ji-hoon with wide eyes. They had never seen anyone feel so openly. They had never seen someone shake with fear and not try to hide it. They had never seen tears roll down a face without shame. Yuna stood up in the crowd. Her hair was blazing white. Stop the trial, she said. Her voice rang through the arena. The machines went quiet. Everyone turned to look at her. What is the meaning of this? Velric demanded. Yuna walked down to the arena floor. She stood between the 2 platforms looking up at Ji-hoon with shining eyes. The trial is supposed to test emotional endurance, she said. We have always believed that means hiding emotions, controlling them. Showing nothing, she turned to face the Valari in the crowd. But look at this human. He has felt everything. fear, sadness, joy, pain. He has hidden nothing, and he is still standing. He is still here. Her voice grew stronger. That is true emotional endurance. Not hiding from feelings, but facing them. Not running from pain, but walking through it. The arena was completely silent. Our ancestors hid their emotions to survive, Yuna continued. But we do not need to survive anymore. We are safe. The old enemies are gone. What we need now is to live. To truly live. And this human has shown us what that looks like. She turned to the judges. I reject the terms of this challenge. I declare that the human has demonstrated something more valuable than victory. He has demonstrated courage. Velric's face finally showed emotion. Anger. Pure, burning anger. You cannot do this. The rules are clear. Rules can change, Yuna said. That is what progress means. She walked to Jihoon's platform and held out her hand. He took it and climbed down to stand beside her. I choose him, Yuna said to everyone in the arena. Not because he won. Not because of rules or traditions. I choose him because he's honest and brave and real. I choose him because he makes me want to be honest and brave, and real too. Velric stared at them with hatred in his eyes. This is not over. Yes, it is, Yuna said. Goodbye, Commander. She turned and walked out of the arena, her hand still holding Jihoon's. The humans in the crowd started to cheer. Some of the younger Valari joined them. Something had changed. Not just for Jihoon and Yuna, for everyone. The days after the challenge were chaos. News of what happened in the arena spread across Station Omega like fire. Everyone was talking about the human who faced his emotions openly. Everyone was talking about the Valari diplomat who chose him. Some Valari were angry. They said Yuna had betrayed her culture. They said she was weak and foolish. They said the old ways were the right ways. But others felt something different. Young Valari whispered to each other in quiet corners. They talked about what it might feel like to stop hiding. They wondered what it would be like to say what they truly felt, without fear. Jihoon saw the change happening. He saw young Valari walking with their hair glowing brighter than before. He saw them starting to smile, just a little, when something made them happy. Small changes, but real ones. Yuna's grandmother contacted them again. This time, her hologram appeared without warning in the middle of their meal. Granddaughter Sarah said. Her voice was cold, but there was something different in her eyes. What you did in that arena was unprecedented. You publicly rejected a formal challenge. You sided with a human over one of our most respected commanders. Yuna stood to face the hologram. Her hair was steady and blue. She was not afraid. Yes, Elder, I did. Do you understand the consequences? Velric's family is furious. Many on the High Council are calling for you to be stripped of your diplomatic position. Some are even calling for exile. Yuna lifted her chin. Let them call for whatever they want. I spoke the truth. I am not ashamed. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. The hologram flickered slightly. When she spoke again, her voice was softer than Jihoon had ever heard it. I have been alive for over 200 years, Sarah said. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched our people grow powerful and respected throughout the galaxy. But I have also watched us become empty. Yuna's eyes went wide. Elder, we are safe now. The old enemies are long dead. But we still hide. We still bury our hearts like they are poison. Sarah closed her silver eyes for a moment. When I was young, very young, I felt something once. Something warm and bright. A feeling for someone I could never have. I was taught to hide it, to kill it. I thought I had succeeded. She opened her eyes and looked at Yuna. Watching you stand in that arena, choosing your own path, feeling without shame. I remembered that old feeling, and I realized I never killed it at all. I just buried it so deep that I forgot it was there. Jihoon felt tears forming in his eyes. He did not try to hide them. I will not stop you, Sarah said. I will not support those who call for your exile. What you are doing is strange and frightening to me. But perhaps that means it is also necessary. The hologram flickered one last time. Be well, granddaughter. And human, take care of her. I will, Jihoon said. The hologram disappeared. Yuna stood very still for a moment. Then she turned to Ji-hoon with tears running down her blue cheeks. Her hair was glowing all the colors of a rainbow. She understood, Yuna whispered. After all these years, she understood. Ji-hoon stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her. She was warm against him. Her glowing hair brushed against his face like soft light. Of course she understood, he said. Everyone understands. Deep down, we all want to feel. We all want to be seen. We all want to be loved without having to hide. Yuna held him tighter. I have never felt like this before. I do not have words for it. Ji-hoon smiled. You do not need words. Just feel it. That is enough. They stood together for a long time, holding each other while the stars shone outside the window. The story of Station Omega spread across the galaxy. Ships carried the news from system to system. Aliens of all species heard about the human who won Avelari's heart by simply being honest. Some laughed at the story. Humans were strange creatures, they said, always causing trouble with their messy emotions. But others listened more carefully. They wondered what it would be like to speak without filters. They wondered what it would feel like to say you are beautiful to someone and mean it completely. The Valari began to change. Slowly at first. Young ones started a movement called the Honest Path. They let their hair glow freely. They smiled when they were happy. They even cried sometimes when sadness touched them. The older Valari did not approve, but they could not stop what was happening. A door had been opened, and it could not be closed again. Other species started to seek out humans more. They wanted to understand these strange beings who wore their hearts on their sleeves. They wanted to learn the secret of living openly, and Ji-hoon. He stayed with Yuna on Station Omega. He stopped being a lonely cargo pilot. He became something new. A teacher. A bridge between worlds. A living example of what it meant to feel without shame. One evening, a year after they first met, Ji-hoon and Yuna stood on the observation deck. Ships moved through the darkness outside. Stars burned in the endless black. Do you ever regret it? Yuna asked. That day in the customs line, when you said those words to me? Ji-hoon thought about everything that had happened. The confusion. The scandal. The challenge. The change. He thought about holding Yuna's hand. He thought about watching her learn to smile. He thought about the young Valari who now walked with their hair glowing bright. No, he said. I do not regret it. Not for 1 second. Yuna's hair glowed warm gold, even though it caused so much trouble. The best things in life usually cause trouble, Ji-hoon said with a grin. That is how you know they matter. Yuna laughed. It was a real laugh, loud and free. The sound of someone who was no longer afraid to feel. You humans, she said. You are ridiculous. Maybe, Ji-hoon said, but we are also honest. And I think the galaxy needed a little more honesty. He took her hand in his. Her blue fingers wrapped around his pink ones. 2 different colors. 2 different worlds. But somehow, they fit together perfectly. I love you, Ji-hoon said. I have wanted to say that for a long time. Yuna's hair exploded with white light. But this time, she did not freeze. She smiled wide and bright, and tears of joy ran down her cheeks. I love you too, she said, and I am not afraid to say it anymore. They stood together, looking out at the stars. Behind them, the galaxy was changing. Slowly, carefully, beings of all species were learning to be a little more open, a little more honest, a little more human. All because one tired cargo pilot said what he felt. All because he told an alien woman she was beautiful and he meant it. The end.